Pokemon's 30th birthday is coming sooner than you think, and the markets are starting to really reflect it. Over this past week, we have seen a few cards from Pokemon's 25th anniversary set skyrocket in price. So today, we are looking at the top 10 most expensive Pokemon cards from celebrations in 2025. Any card that has that 25-year logo on it is fair game, from the promos to the classic collection. Which cards from this set could be next to blow up? Is this just the standard pump and dump, or is there something actually here? I answered that and more in today's video, but before we talk about the past 25th Pokemon anniversary set, we need to talk about the future and the 30th anniversary. Recently, Pokemon is looking like it's really improving on the stocking front and overall health of the hobby, with the new era beginning and the posers leaving the hobby for now. But there's one thing that will always bring them back, a big milestone set, and that's exactly what we're gonna have with the 30th anniversary. We are still likely a year away from even hearing about this set, but I always want to be prepared and have as many tools possible to make sure I get what I want when products drop, and that's where the sponsor of today's video comes into play, PokeNotify. This exclusive Discord community alerts you when Pokemon restocks and drops occur by monitoring hundreds of sites 24/7 all across the globe. And today you can join the Discord for free for a 3-day trial and get 25% off of your first month by using the code FACTORY25 at checkout. Stop going in solo against the bots and the scalpers. Take advantage of this great tool and save you a ton of money and avoid the frustration. All links needed is in the description below. At number 10, we have the Classic Collection Zekrom. This bad boy is coming in at $15.64. 12 months ago, though, this bad boy was sitting at a crisp $2.72. So this thing is at quite the jump. In a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $100 with a population count of 2,890. With the black and white set coming out here in a few weeks, I really suspect this thing to keep on climbing a little bit. And I'm actually surprised that it's only at $15. I would think this thing's more in the $20 range. Maybe this is a quick little $5 flip if you want to do those types of things. I think this one definitely could be rising up. I don't think that this is one that could see a movement like the Umbreon or the Greninja. I think it is just a ho-hum card. It is a nice card, but I just don't think that it has the popularity of some of the others on this list that I think that actually still have room to grow. At number 9, we have the Classic Collection Reshiram, and this bad boy is coming in at $17.11. 12 months ago, this thing was sitting at $2. Pretty incredible. In a PSA 10, this thing is coming in at $105 with a population count of 2,379, so not bad. Again, this is another one where the black and white set is coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets a little bit of price movement just from people just pushing stuff leading up to it. This thing could definitely get some more attraction, get some more love. I don't see this thing more than 20 bucks. Obviously, with age, it's gonna go up naturally eventually, just like I did here. But it's so funny to see these prices because I feel like Celebrations has been stagnant for so long, and we're finally gonna see some price action on this, and it's actually good to see. Really, a lot of it was open, a lot of it was printed, and maybe that's why a lot of these cards set where they did for so long. At number 8, we have the Birthday Pikachu, and this bad boy is coming in at $18.16. At 12 months ago, though, this thing was setting at $6.21, so it hasn't had like a crazy amount of jump that the Zekrom and the Reshiram did. In a PSA 10, you can tell people were really trying to grade this thing. It's coming at $111 with a population count of 11,718. I think this is such a great card. Again, this is one that I don't think is something that's gonna explode like the other ones have, but it's still a really good card to have. And honestly, to master the Celebration set right now is still pretty cheap, so I highly recommend going ahead and getting that out of the way. This is another one though that I do think $22, $23 range maybe is where it can get up to. Obviously it can go higher if something crazy happens. At number 7, we have the Gold Star Greninja promo. So this bad boy is coming in at $21.36. Just a year ago, this bad boy was coming in at $1.60. So it has had quite the jump. Obviously, this is the one that kind of started the whole craze. In a PSA 10, this is actually interesting. In a PSA 10 is coming in at $685 with a population count of 1,913. So seeing this actually makes sense why the Pokemon, what would you say, the Pokemon Deep State really started making this one move. I've seen PSA 10s going for 1,000, so this number is probably going to go up. I'd say it's probably closer to like 900, 850, and that population count could be a little bit higher, especially in the next coming weeks because people are just racing like crazy to get this thing graded. But it makes sense. I mean, it's actually a pretty low population count. I love this card. Obviously, huge Greninja fan. fan, huge Gold Star fan. That is my absolute go-to. So I love to see that this card is getting some love, and the Greninja just looks phenomenal in this. I'm just curious on why it started to go up. I'm assuming it's the population count and they wanted to move the PSA, price on this, I guess. I'm assuming that's what it is. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me on why it could go up. Also, Hidden Fates promo, ETB promo is also moving, so maybe people seen that one was moving and tried to attack this one. It smells like a pump and dump, but at the same time, like, this thing was super undervalued for a long time. Like, Celebrations has been out for a little bit now, so I would say by the time we get to the 30th, it could jump even more for sure. At number 6, we have the Classic Collection Shining Magikarp, and this bad boy is coming in at $22.43. 12 months ago, this thing was sitting at a crisp $9.50, so it's actually, it got a little bit of a hype here. What is this? This is January 2025. It was sitting at 11 and it jumped to 27, so it's kind of just trading sideways. Honestly, this might be a good one. In a PSA 10, it's only coming in at $92 with a population count of 5,697, so the pop count's a little bit higher than I would want, and we know there's a ton of these out there, but the PSA 10 price only $92. I would think this thing's probably more like 110, 120. So this is a really nice card. I'm actually surprised that this card hasn't moved more than it has already. So this is another example of where the Celebration is just sitting stagnant, and I guess it's just because there's so many of them. Still, man, I mean, yeah, I just don't see. I couldn't tell you the last time I seen a Celebrations pack open. Even, I was just at Car Party this past weekend, and I don't think I've seen a single person open Celebrations. Look, and I get it, we're in a new era and all that, but if I just wanted to hand a kid a pack to have a good time and open, Celebrations would be at the top of that list. So I mean, it's just kind of very surprising to see that it took this long, and maybe that was part of the plan, you know what I mean, just wait till the 30th anniversary. But I think that this one definitely has a potential to go to like 30, 40, honestly, if I'm being honest. The PSA 10 price is a little because it is a relatively high population count. At number 5, we have the Golden Mew from the regular Celebration set. So this bad boy is coming in at $30.83. 12 months ago, this thing was setting at $23.44, but it looks like it peaked at about February of this year at $37. A PSA 10 is coming at $100 with a population count of 11,953. So again, that's quite high for a population count. Honestly, this one, I remember this one at one time. It felt like this was like a pretty hot chase card for this set. I don't know for sure, but I feel like this thing ever close to $100? I feel like it was close to $100 at one point. This thing's actually pretty difficult to pull, really, because it comes from the regular set. It's not from the Classic Collection. I think the $37 mark where it topped out at, that's probably where this card should be, 37, 40 bucks, somewhere in that range. So, you could have a good little profit if you were to buy now. I think this thing could go up for sure. It's the most expensive card in the regular set. Like I said, it is a really nice card. It's just a regular Mew. Those cards usually do good, where you have the gold with just the, the Pokemon name, not the X. So you look at like the Snorlax or something like that. Those cards tend to do very well. The pop count is a little interesting, and for it to only be on this, again, that's what I'm talking about. Look at how cheap these cards are. At number 4, we have the Classic Collection Mega Rayquaza EX, and this bad boy is coming in at $31.40. 12 months ago, this thing was sitting at a measly $9.60, and a PSA 10 is saying, okay, this is a good one. This one's coming in at $223 with a population count of 3,842. Obviously, with the Megas coming back, the Mega Rayquaza set confirmed, and the 30th anniversary, this one has the potential to get one of those weird, pump ups like what we're seeing with the Umbreon. This one has the potential, but I think it could be a short-lived pump. I'm not saying that this card would just go up and then fall back down to where it is. More than likely, we're going to see a nice steady climb up, and then it could just explode, especially in a PSA 10. So being under 4,000, maybe by the time we get to like 3,000, maybe this thing could be sitting at $350, $360 in a 10. Especially the closer we get to the 30th anniversary, I think this thing could definitely benefit from that. At number 3, we have the Gold Pikachu promo from the Celebrations UPC, and this bad boy is coming in at $44.31. 12 months ago, this bad boy was sitting at $26.76, but it actually bottomed out around 2024 in November at $20. And a PSA 10, okay, this is where I was thinking. This PSA 10 is coming in at $359 with a population count of 1,533. So just going off of what we've seen so far and what we're going to look at in the next card, I believe we are going to see this card really pop off in the next couple months. Obviously, you can only get it from the UPC. The UPC for Celebrations was not printed a whole lot. These things are not everywhere. It's a really nice card, super undervalued for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing doubles and goes up to like $85, even $90, and the PSA 10 goes up to like $5. I would not be surprised at all by that. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. This is one I definitely think you should keep your eye on and keep it close to your heart. Watch this one because it has the potential to really pop off. At number 2, we have the Classic Collection Umbreon Gold Star, and the Umbreon is coming in at $74.06, but 12 months ago, this bad boy was sitting at $15 and even bottomed out around October at $13. In a PSA 10, this thing's coming in at $378 with a population count of 10,292. So there we go. This one's pretty high pop count, but it's still sitting around $400. I always thought this one should be higher. To me, this is where this card should have been anyway. My humble opinion. I think it's, you know, the Charizard obviously is number 1. That's no secret there. This one should have been close with the Charizard. I thought this one should be around this price range. The Charizard really hasn't moved at all. It feels like, we're going to see here in a second just to confirm, but it feels like the Charizard hasn't moved at all in forever. This one finally moved. It is where I think it should be. The pop count, $400. 10,000, you know, population. That's kind of high there, and it's, you know, people are going to be grading it. You know, it starts hitting the internet and everything. People's going to be trying to get 10s in this. You can see the pop count go up and the price still go up just because people's going to be shilling it. You're going to have all these PokeTubers and told you so, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be shilling this thing like crazy. Umbreon Gold Star. That's like, outside of the Rayquaza Gold Star, is probably my biggest chase. Like the real one, not this one. The real Umbreon Gold Star would be my biggest chase ever. That and the Rayquaza Gold Star. It has, you know, some weight to it, right? Definitely hit like $100 for sure. But it's like, how much has it? Have you missed the big jump? Probably. You probably missed the big jump. You know what I mean? Like this one feels like the Greninja went up and they were like, ooh, what's another Gold Star? And they picked the Gold Star. So I think any Umbreon, any era is always good. I don't think you can go wrong with it. And at number 1, we had the Classic Collection Charizard. Obviously the Fire Lizard's number 1. Everybody's favorite freaking little flame tail sucker right here. Coming in at $91.70. But 12 months ago, this thing was sitting at a crisp $67. So it did move. It actually bottomed a year ago at $62, so it's moved up by $30. It's actually had some pretty decent, you know, it looks natural price movement. Oh my god. See, this is what everybody's trying to get 10s. This is a PSA 10. It's coming at $250 with a population count of 27,101. To me, that's probably why this thing has never really, like, this thing is under $100 right now. This one has room to grow. Like I said, I kind of been hinting at it. This one has been stagnant forever. Like, I feel like it's been 60 to 90 since the day it freaking came out. I know it got over 100 at one point. I think it even was a little crazy at one point. It just feels like ever since everything kind of settled down, this thing has just been floating through the same. It's like taking big consolidation. You know, usually consolidation is real tight. This one's real wide, so. The pop count is insane. I mean, is that the highest modern Pokemon card? I mean, just from what we've looked at, I do not think we have seen one with 27,000. What that tells me is everybody was trying to grade these things. That's what that tells me, is everybody pulled it and they graded it. 27,000, that's gotta be the highest. Obviously though, this thing has room to grow. I mean, it's going to, it's a Charizard, it's a top card in celebrations. Now, I will say, Gold Star Umbreon can pass this. And it'll be kind of interesting because it'll almost be like the passing of the torch, because Charizard's always been the most popular Pokemon, but now, it looks like Umbreon's flipped Charizard, because I mean, even Sword and Shield era, if you look at the Charizards in that era, they're not like insane, you know? I think it's a good collector card. Like, this is fantastic for collecting. So can this thing go to like 150 bucks? Possibly. So this one could be one to keep an eye on as well. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and support. I got back from Card Party, and then all this celebration stuff was popping off. Even like, because I was coming back thinking about, I'm gonna make a video on legendary birds from Hidden Fates, which I may still do that, because though that thing has quietly just freaking boomed in price. So pretty interesting stuff there. Shout out to PokeNotify, shout out to Pokelytics, shout out to Drip. Make sure you check out all the links for those are down in the description. Of course, join our DGen Discord. It's a good time. Honestly, we're just a family. We're friends, hanging out, playing Call of Duty, dropping tips, dropping knowledge, just staying on top of everything and having a good time while doing it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Poke Factory out. Peace.